Hello guys, and welcome to another ProfileTree video. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at software engineer versus web developer. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So just before we get started, a software engineer and web developer are two distinct roles in the field of software development, and each with its specific focus and responsibilities. Now we're going to take a look at an overview of both of the roles. So starting off with the first one, which is software engineer. A software engineer is a professional who would design, develop, test, and maintain software applications or systems. Now, not normally would they do designing anyway, that would be more handled towards a web designer, but they would work closely with them anyway. And they would work on a wide range of projects, including desktop applications, mobile apps, embedded systems, operating systems, and as well as that, they'd go further into the development working with databases and even with servers. So it can get a little bit complex. They'd mainly use MySQL, probably write up some data, especially if they're creating an e-commerce site. So depending how a client would want the website to be run, if they're wanting it built from scratch, then that's how a software engineer would do it. So software engineers, I would say, are involved in the entire development life cycle, from requirements gathering and analysis to design, implementation, testing, and deployment. So they would mainly do the full circle. They're there from start to finish. Now they've got their own key responsibilities, like analyzing user needs and system requirements to design software solutions. They'd write code and develop algorithms to implement software features. They would conduct testing and debugging to identify and fix software defects, and they could collaborate with cross-functional teams, and as I said earlier on, like designers, project managers, and QA testers. So depending how big the team is or your department is in terms of software engineering. Now, on top of being a software engineer, once your site is live, you would want to ensure the software is scalable, maintainable, and it adheres to the best coding practices. There's no point publishing a website or a web application or any sort of development that you have created with large
Hello
amount
guys,
of
and welcome
code
to another
being
ProfileTree
too
video.
slow.
So in
So
today's
of
video,
course
we're
you
going to be
need to
taking a look at
have the
software
best
engineer
coding
versus
practices,
web developer.
and you would
So without
continuously
further ado, we're
improve
going to
and
go ahead and get
optimize the
started.
software performance. So that overall is what a software engineer would do. So with the skills and knowledge, proficiency in programming languages like Java, C++, Python, or others, and of course that all depends on the project requirements. Now, knowledge of software development methodologies like Agile, Scrum, and of course you need to know version control systems like Git. And with these skills and knowledge, you have to have a clear understanding of data structures, algorithms, and software design patterns. And as well as this, you need to have analyzing skills and problem solving skills to tackle complex technical challenges. So with a web developer, they specialize in building websites and web applications that are accessible over the internet. They would mainly focus on the front end client side development as well as the back end server side development, or they can do both. So depending on their expertise and scope of the project, web developers often work with web technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and various backend languages like frameworks on PHP, Python, Ruby on Rails, or Node.js. So regardless, you can see that web developers and software engineering has that sort of similarity. They do work with the same programming languages, but they also have their differences in where a web developer would mainly focus on actually building a site for mobile use and for actual browser use or desktop use. And then with a software engineer, they would mainly work on different applications, and they can even go as far into helping with game development, so they could do with along the lines of that. And with a software engineer anyway, they would mainly handle data analytics, so pretty much all the fairly complex stuffs as well. And as I said, they are an all-rounder. And with a web developer, they would mainly focus on, of course, the website building. So just to further explain software engineering and web development, I've actually opened up Android Studio to showcase what software engineering would be all about. Now, of course, they would handle mobile development or mobile apps, and they'd mainly look into desktop applications. So this would be one of them. And of course, this app or this mobile application was actually coded using Java, as you guys can see. So it's all in Java. And it contains a list of different pages, as you can see. So there's a financing area, main activity, main screen. So this is a project that I made a little while back, but I'll go ahead and demonstrate it anyway. So we'll run the app, and we should get a little mobile screen coming up. So we'll wait and see for that now. Okay, so this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. You can see that we've got a good afternoon here. Let's see if I could just switch back and restart this actual app. So this phone's actually embedded into the desktop. It's just to do for testing, so which is great. You can see a mobile view of it. So we've actually just reset the phone. So we'll wait till that's loaded up, and then I'll go ahead and demonstrate what the app looks like. So this is pretty much how this will handle this. So this is basically the main startup screen, and what will go through it is a splash screen. So it's more or less how this works. So this is how a software engineer would go through this. So I'll just actually type in ProfileTree for the password and log in. Now that'll then bring me to a splash screen. So of course, what a software engineer would do would go over the mobile development, check whether to see if all the functionalities are working, double checking the login pages, double checking the different pages as well before they actually deploy and release the app. So you can see now that it's fully working. Now we can check financing. That opens up the splash screen, so we can tell that this is currently working. So the splash screen actually activated, and we could see where it would go to. So splash screen, this, and then finance activity. So of course we intend it to go through splash screen first, and then after that to the finance activity, which we are now in currently. So if we open this up, we could check the different model choices. So if we, let's say if we go back, we'll go back into this, and then we'll check approved used. So again, with approved used, we'll see use car screens. So this is mainly how it's working. So we're seeing that we're analyzing it, we're checking it as a software engineer whether everything's working fine. So yeah, that's pretty much what they do. That's their role. Again, an all-rounder. They would do web development as well. They would do databases. They would do SQL or MySQL and so on. But yes, now we're going to demonstrate what a web developer would do. So what exactly would a web developer do? So I'm going to use a CMS example, a content management system. So we're going to be using Wix just to demonstrate what a web developer would do. So in terms of front-end development, of course they would sort out the looks of it, where the placeholders will be, and they'll work very closely with the actual web designers. Now on top of that, even if it's not CMS, regardless, majority of the sites would be using WordPress. They would work with the likes of Visual Code, and in terms of that, connect it with WordPress using a server, so it could be Nginx. But overall, that is what a web developer would do, and as I say, they would use technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And they're not far off from a software engineer who would do mobile development. Of course, with a web developer, depending if the site is going to be mobile based as well. Of course, you have to think about responsiveness. So web developers do take into account for mobile development, and of course, you have to make sure as a web developer that if you do shrink the page down, you'll have items minimizing and fitting correctly onto the page screen. So that's what you would do as a web developer as well. But there you go, guys. That is software engineer versus web developer. Now, at the end of the day, both of these are professional roles that are involved with design, development, testing, and maintenance of various software applications and systems. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave us a comment in the comment section below. But other than that, I'll see you guys for the next video. Thank you very much for watching.